Description's up. I'm just doing text.
No, we're going live. Forget it. Of course, and I don't have chat up as always. Chat needs to be going. You've got a whole computer up there that you could be.
I'm linking.
Oh, by the way, if anyone's there and wants to know, if we actually give you a time about something, just
Say it every time.
yeah, just add like a year to what's really going on.
Uno or
Yeah, because time management on a new show is terrible. We are bad.
or always fixing stuff.
Yeah, always.
Fine.
Okay, you ready? Gonna go few minutes here. What? 5, 10?
Whatever. I'm
10.
just doing tags, but you do what you do.
Go 10 seconds. Well, you at least gotta greet people, you know.
Yeah, of course.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and welcome. It is February 17th, 2021. I am Mike. With you, as always,
Hello,
is Corey,
here. Nice to
and
see you.
now with more Roscoe in the shot.
in the frame.
Roscoe's here. Wow,
He's
it
just
is
2 eyeballs.
it just the 2 eyeballs. It is a Wednesday, and we're late, of course, because we had to do the reworking of a lot of things after doing our first real live SpaceX coverage over the last part of the weekend. So I think we concluded the last part on, what was it, Monday night, right? And then we started Sunday night, and we stayed there. We streamed for quite a few hours. So to all the new subscribers, thank you so much, because that is immense. We had some
Thanks for that.
amazing response from the overall YouTube community. So that was fantastic. We're excited about that. And of course, when we came back to the studio and we had to put all the parts together and everything else, numerous things don't fit together any longer. So we had to make some massive changes there. So a lot of reworking. So as Corey is actually still fixing the...
Almost done, yeah.
He's almost fixing. He's doing the title work on this episode that needs to be actually completed. So a couple of things that came up as we tried to get this SpaceX rocket launch covered. And that is primarily, we did this almost off the cuff. We had an idea of what we wanted to do, but we realized a night launch for SpaceX is a pretty rare commodity these days in some respects. So it was probably a go or no-go decision, but we knew we had most of the technology worked out. We just didn't know what it was going to be like to take the massive amount of equipment that we did and bring it on the road. And I do mean a massive amount of equipment. More than I would have imagined when we had actually started, because obviously in your mind, when you're going to go cover something and you're not a production company, you have never done live streaming that often, number one, and number two, you've never done it from a remote location. There's lots of things to be considered, and all things considered, we did pretty damn well, for trying this equipment out and doing a lot of this work off the cuff. So what I'm going to share with you first is just so you get an idea of what we were working with to get most of this stuff together, because it wasn't as easy or as simple as it looked, and it even wasn't nearly as pretty. It literally was not nearly as pretty as you might imagine. The amount of equipment was enough to fill 2 trunk loads, 2 cars, right? So, yeah, I'm bringing it up here. So, and essentially, I can't remember if this is the first. This was, I think, the first night, the setup. Okay, and as you can know, second night. This was the second night setup. And as you can see, we have our table. It was windy. We have a GH5 over here as this main camera. Corey's over there assembling some of the stuff on the computers, and we had lights that we were getting ready to continually use for that part of the project. And these are the towering cumulonimbus thunderstorms that were in the area that were not conducive towards electronic equipment being out in the open, moist, 84-degree Florida air. So that was another one. Additionally, once we had both computers up and running, we had multiple dock stations, and lighting was an issue. And I'm going to play a video here in a minute from day 2, because as we were still in the setup process, this is earlier on in the setup process, some of the cameras laying on the table. I think this is actually more day 1 stuff. And it looks, fairly mundane. We used external power when we could for certain things, like powering lights when we didn't have the time. to really run more extension cords and so on and so forth. But this is the actual setup of the dock. And you can see the VABs out there in the distance and just a nice wide angle shot. And then this is us again, really getting down to the nitty gritty with our stream deck, the external monitors, and everything that you really need to get this done. And then finally, these are the camera assemblies. So this is the big Canon with the super duper lens that we had actually active on the final night. And then additionally, this is the ZV-1, which was doing most of our coverage on us for the entire shoot. And this is the GH5. And you can see, unfortunately, that little bit of extra wiggle that we were getting is because our tripods, as good as they are, unfortunately, the biggest problem that we had with them is that even just the wind at one time or another was just so strong that it really didn't make a difference what we did, because it was rocking the entire platform. And that wind is right off the water. And if you could see the location again, and by the way, here's where we got our lavalier mics connected, the two computers running side by side. And then additionally, once we went live with the live streams, I had a chat monitoring iPad Pro off to the other side. So, I mean, we had a ton of equipment. All right, that's a lot to bring to one shoot. But just so you know, it wasn't all fun and games, because I'm just going to let this one go for a minute. And you guys can hear what it was like when we were actually just getting set up, because this, for a while there, we were like, we might not be able to complete this. And I'll show you why here in a second.
All right, so I don't know if you guys can actually, we'll actually make this part of the making. It is windy, like seriously windy. Our enclosure here is strapped down in a couple of places, but actually we have a blast. And the wind, and there's thunderstorms that are right there, that are threatening, that just slid past. They're just told us we're about to get more rain. And we are literally just hoping to get this thing done. I don't know if you can hear me because it's so damn windy, but we'll see you guys in a bit. It's windy.
It's windy. So primarily, that's what we were up against in getting the setup together. And so with that, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work to get the SpaceX launch covered in and of itself. It was not easy. Like I said, the amount of equipment that we had to bring along with us really didn't like the wet environment. So at one point, we literally had on the left-hand side, where the wind was primarily coming from in the thunderstorms, we had an entire another canopy set up just to shield the wind and the rain that was starting to come sideways through our location.
Yep.
And it's so strange, because night one, we had no wind. Zero.
It was very calm that night.
It was really calm.
So in our location, as you guys caught in the live stream, I mean, the first night we were there, the weather actually got quite nice there where we were set up. But as we talked about in the stream, as you guys know, right, the weather up where the drone ship was going to be was not as great, and they scrubbed the first launch, of course.
Yeah.
And so he's showing some pictures here of the deck again, a little bit in the daytime. This is going to be more of the shots, well, kind of the ambience you'll see, like the area, when we do some day launches.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit more to see, of course. There's trees, you can see shoreline. There's a dock there on the shore, a few docks. But then in the distance, it's a bit hard to see, but right under the left side of the canopy there, you can see the DAB.
Yeah, it's right here.
Obviously, we don't have any zoom on that shot. But
sure we do.
Oh, there you go.
I got zoom.
So
that's the vehicle assembly building, right?
One of the biggest buildings in the world. The vehicle assembly building, if you're not familiar. NASA's vehicle assembly building, where they put together all the rockets, where they stack them all.
Sure.
But yeah, so it was good fun.
That's a messy table, though.
Yeah, this is mid setup, of course, as things get mid. Right where right where he's looking at there with that box light.
Yeah, that had
that is
bugs.
where we were. It was
God.
a bug hotel. That's
Yeah,
where we were just keeping everybody. That was where Mothra hung out,
yes.
And would fly from there and then hit us in the face.
Sure.
That's where he had set up shop. So anyway, but
hey, what's up,
yeah,
Kevin?
It was a good time.
Yeah, I like space.
Yes,
we
Kevin.
like space too.
Yep.
That's why we covered the launch there. And and look, actually, some equipment got damaged. Apparently, this light, which actually serves in the studio right over there, was one that I brought as a portable light source, and just to make sure that we were going to cover and get enough light in that. And now it just doesn't connect to the network anymore. It doesn't have any more controllability. So a little disappointed about that. But again, with all the equipment that we brought, this lens right here, this thing, the first night was fantastic for what would be just the, a Panasonic micro, 4/3 lens, and that setup worked so well. Couldn't have been prouder. But the second night, that really, really up close shot was fantastic. And this ZV-1, as Corey was working the camera and it went up between your shoulder, I was like, it was doing one of the best jobs we could have imagined.
Yeah, the ZV, as Mike's saying, the ZV there, that camera there on the left. Yeah, it was really nice to see that it worked in low light, and the fact that because Mike was over on the left side of me working the.
I was working this one. I was standing right here.
It was nice to see that that camera could do low light, with me really lit up, but also pick up that launch for you guys behind. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a pretty cool shot.
Yeah.
I told Mike even after that we shut the stream down, and I said, kind of looks fake.
It did, because the lighting looked really fake.
Part of the reason we wanted to show you this stuff,
it wasn't fake.
We were really there.
We were there.
Not trying to pull a fast one on you
guys. We were there. It's legit.
So, yeah.
We were there. We have been here many, many, many times for many other launches, but this one we were there, and we are happy with the coverage. Now, some of the things that we have to do differently. So obviously, if we look back and we see the GH5, the one that I was manning over here, okay, the biggest problem that you have with, now that we know this, is that we have the uncanny inability to actually cover the launch when it brightens up. So when it's far away in the distance and most of the area is black and dark, obviously the cameras really don't have that much of a problem. You can kind of set them to a manual focus and so on and so forth. The problem with doing live streaming is these cameras, when you go to focus, their output is changed to the micro focus ability of the camera. So that's the feed that you guys were getting when I was trying to chase the rocket up into the atmosphere. So there's a lot of things that we're going to do differently. So probably what we're going to do on the GH5 category, and the next time we do this, is we might actually either swap the ZV-1 and the GH5 and let the ZV-1 do a super wide angle shot so you can actually see it arc across the sky better, or we might change the lens to something wider angled, which we do have for the GH5 itself, and then leave it on manual focus, because that way when the rocket actually lights and it gets brighter, we won't see this big lens flare problem and then the camera go out of focus. So that's another thing that we're really working on. So, but we couldn't have been happier with the response. It's going to take a lot more time to perfect the techniques and and the audio quality and all this other stuff, because we literally glued a lot of this stuff together day of. And 2 days in a row, we literally went there. And if we had had more time and we weren't really ducking between the thunderstorms and the raindrops, I think would have even had a better opportunity to bring you guys more. But it just... For 2 nights, the weather really didn't materialize. It literally would either stop raining maybe an hour before we went live, or there was thunderstorms behind us and all the different things between the data and everything else. It was just difficult, very difficult. And the last thing, oh, wow, this one. This little monitor here, we were running off of a different dock station. And for some reason, Elgato products, which when you have 2 cam links running into one device, especially the MacBook Pro, it needs, each one on the cam link needs its own high-speed USB input on the bus. And apparently they don't like each other when there's video coming in and out. So all the other little stuff that we brought to help us even produce more, at some point in time, even the battery on the MacBook Pro wasn't getting charged because of dock station compatibilities. So there's a lot more that we can bring you guys. We're sorry for the final product at that last little minute, but at least 2 cameras got great views. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's a work in progress, as Mike was alluding to. There's a few things since we've been doing a few shows in here for you guys talking about different things. But then we wanted to, we're gonna go places. We went to the Rolex, so we did some race photography. But that's obviously, we're not taking hardly as much stuff there, even though we took a lot of stuff. We were not mobile, but yeah. So we're working it out, and we're happy to take you guys along. We're happy you guys are subscribing and following and sharing, and we're happy. Thank you so much for that. As you saw in the video in the launch, we're excited about this stuff. So we're glad you could come along.
Now comes the $1 million question. SpaceX has announced that the launch that was going to take place last night was delayed until Saturday night. Actually going to be early Sunday morning. I think it's at 12:21 Sunday morning. And we're contemplating what we're going to do to see how, if it's still going to go, we might make that attempt, because honestly, we have to recover the resources a little bit. Also, my phone's data plan is quickly gobbling through data at a rate that is immense. Each individual night of live streaming was 7.5 gigs of data going up. And phenomenally, as a tethered device, my phone handled that without any issues. So that was pretty good as well, except for, a couple little shaky moments there. But it looked pretty good. Thanks, James. We appreciate that. All the support is worthwhile.
Yeah, thank you.
So, and of course, we're still going to talk more about, obviously, space, because Corey's going to introduce a topic here in just a few minutes about what's going on tomorrow, because as far as when we get the opportunity to send humans to Mars, there's going to be some beneficial factors coming out of what the Mars actually Perseverance program is doing right now, and they're preparing for something that you want to just kick it off from there. Which article do you want up?
Sure. So basically what we're getting to is, if you guys are following space news at all, this week's quite big news is tomorrow, NASA's Perseverance rover is set to land on Mars in Jesuit Crater, and they've got a bunch of stuff planned for that mission. They just had a live stream. NASA just did a live stream. I guess JPL just did a live stream about an hour and a half ago, just to update anybody who was interested on what the mission, a little recap of the mission, but then also, how it's going and all that. So long story short, if you're keeping up to track with Perseverance's mission, everything's looking okay for now. They're set to land. I have some information down the stream, down the description below for you if you're interested in following that stuff too, as we're talking about now, of course. But they are going to live stream. Well, there's obviously some delay because Mars is quite far away, so there's a bit of delay. But it's going to be live streamed here on Earth, as I could say that, live streamed here on Earth. At I think they said 2:00 Eastern time.
Yep.
I have the GMT UTC times down there for you guys and some links. But they're gonna have multiple hours of coverage. Everything from live video feeds when they start getting video feeds, and then other data just to see how it's doing. Mike's got some stuff animation. So you're playing it now?
Yeah, I'm just letting it run in the background as you're talking.
This is an animation of basically what's going to happen. You see it's going to come down on a chute, but then also one of the cool things that this mission is going to do is it's going to have basically a sky crane.
Yeah.
So it ejects the heat shield that you use to come through the atmosphere and help slow down through just friction drag on the atmosphere there on Mars. And then there's a crane that's going to lower the actual rover to the surface. And that's pretty interesting. The rover, as you're looking at the animation here, it's actually basically the size of a car. It's a big rover. Some of the rovers, we've sent on other planets and the moons before. They're not quite as large. This is another one of their bigger rovers. Following on some of the other past missions to Mars that we've had that NASA sent to Mars, this one is set really with their main purpose of really discovering and determining if there was water and possible life on Mars. They're setting it down in Jesuit Crater and the area around there they've seen and they've studied, and it looks like there was flowing water by looking how the clay and everything has moved around in that area. They think there's been flowing water there, and there might be evidence of past life. That's basically why we're sending and why they're going to land the Perseverance rover there in that location. I think they said it's a 2-year mission.
2-year mission. Autonomous, but not fully autonomous.
Yeah. So the rover will execute all the commands that the NASA scientists decide they want to prioritize and send and have it do.
Mm-hmm.
But the rover obviously then takes out and receives those commands minutes later, and then executes the commands, and then with the sensor and everything, the scientists get back what information, did it execute properly, all that good stuff. So there's a big delay there. And
then there's secondarily, I think there's going to be an onboard remote control helicopter as well that does some missioning off the platform itself.
There's an animation of it, the sky crane literally
working,
dropping the rover off. It's going to take multiple samples of soil and then deposit them in a capsule that will remain on the surface, and then will be picked up by a future mission, and then that mission will blast those samples back to Earth. That's basically what's going on with the soil samples. It's got a drill on it. It's got a bunch of things. It doesn't have a mass spectrometer. I don't think.
Mass spectrometer.
I don't think they said that has.
I don't know if anybody. Don't remember.
Well, it's one of the instruments they can use to determine what chemicals are made up of this oil, like right there. They had to determine. They had to decide what instruments they wanted to send along, because when you're sending up, not just lifting things off of Earth, but landing them somewhere else as well, mass or weight, but mass. There's only so much mass you can afford. They'd love to send a whole bunch of instruments, all the instruments they could possibly pack
Who
on this
wouldn't?
thing,
To Mars.
over to Mars,
right?
but they just can't fit all that in there for a lot of times weight reasons.
All right, so here's what I want to know. Here's what I really want to know.
Yeah, of course.
You're sitting in a NASA office, and someone says, "Hey, we're going to send a Mars rover." Okay, and the last time they sent it in a balloon fashion, in which this thing popped out, and it was in balloons. And it tumbled,
test
right?
dummy, like,
yeah.
I don't know how. Yeah, it was.
It was like an airbag, right? An airbag deployed, and it rolled over.
It rolled, and then it stopped finally.
So you're the guy in the NASA meeting, and you're going, "Hey guys, here's what we're gonna do. First, we're gonna deploy just a regular drag chute as this thing drops to the atmosphere.
Yep.
Then we're gonna release this car-sized drone that's gonna start its descent back down to the Martian surface. Then
On a crane.
It's gonna have a crane with rockets." And the rockets are going to turn around and fire at the precise moment that it's going to cushion the landing.
Yes, just a touchdown.
Just a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be on Mars. And I would have been, look, in my own
basically
naive way, I've been like...
They hit the atmosphere at like 12,000 miles per hour, I think. 12,000.
Yeah.
And it slows down the rover to basically 1 mile per hour or so.
Yeah.
Talking to miles per hour.
So forget about the challenge of just getting to Mars, right?
Yeah.
You still have to get all that stuff up there. And then the guy that probably said that, I would have been like...
Let's do it.
Let's do this. This has got to be the way it's got to be done. This can be the only way. So I'm happy to see that they're doing this. And obviously, this is a huge step in getting ourselves back into the firm footing of understanding what's going on with Mars. And look, what's the success rate though? I mean, what if this thing gets within?
I think they were talking about it earlier in the stream, JPL stream, Jet Propulsion Lab, talking about it earlier, and I think they said 50% of the missions that were set to land a machine on Mars, 50% of them have made it to the surface. Or, they make it to the surface, but they don't land as they want them to. So, not intended. So there's a 50-50 on this? It's very important. No, well, I wouldn't say it's 50-50. It's just a 50% of the chance they don't make it. I wouldn't say it's 50% chance this one doesn't make it, because they actually addressed that question as well in the, because it was a live stream as well. And they said they tried multiple ways to really determine, okay, what's the chance it makes it to surface this time?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess with different metrics, they didn't go into why, but different metrics they didn't explain. They didn't come up with a valid model that said this is accurate. It's got an X chance of making it.
Okay.
So they spend a few minutes talking about how hard it is to land it on Mars, something of this size and this mass. But then also,
okay, hold on.
That's a significant part of the mission. Just
pause,
getting them, they've already traveled millions of miles.
Nope. Pause. I have a question.
Gotta make it to the surface.
I have a question. What are your odds if you had to put money on it making it, or money on it not making it? What are your odds? What are you putting your money on?
I haven't seen any of the testing. The Sky Crane, which is probably obviously kind of pivotal in this sense, because it's.
Don't rationalize out of this. I just want to know what your shot is. I'm putting you.
I think about.
I know, but I'm putting you on the spot because I want to see a reaction on what it is. Because I say 75-20, right? 75% chance they make it, 25% chance they fail. That's what I say, and I say likelihood is tomorrow. It's a difficult thing. Possibly fail. I'm going to say possibly fail. I'm going to go with fail.
Possibly fail means it could possibly. That's not wrong.
No, just look.
I give it greater than 50%. I'm just making this up because I have no facts in front of me. I would think with the testing I've seen them do, just over what they've posted on media that you can see, I give it at least better than 50% chance that it makes it to the surface. Because of what I've seen, but that's I can't say much else.
Okay. So a couple of guys.
Yeah. Some laughing in chat.
Yeah, some laughing.
Yeah, as I try to say, I can't
right
decide what the statistics are.
Well, it depends on how that works. I think Kevin is asking if what the time difference is going to be for the rover. Not a robbery. There's going to be a robbery.
What time
is the robbery going to? No,
I don't know. I hope there's no robbery.
So it's going to
Can
be
you guys let me know when
3:55 p.m.
The Rover lands
3:55
South
p.m.
Africa.
Eastern.
What's your time zone?
We'd have to figure that out. We'd have to do some work on that.
It wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
Because basically what you can do is you can technically, if you know your time zone, right, you can take and just Google 2 p.m. Eastern time to whatever time zone you are. So I don't know what time zone you're in, Kevin, but
Hold on a second. I'm doing it right now. Would be 1400 South Africa time. Local time
there's only
conversion.
one time zone in South Africa? No,
2 p.m. Oh, no, wait. That's not right.
there's more ones. There's
Time difference between two. Oh, hold on a second.
more than one time zone.
Hold on. I got to figure. I made a mistake here. We're doing everything for our viewers to. Should be 9 p.m. your time. That's what they're saying. So Cape Town time converter, it says 2 p.m. our time should be 9 p.m. your time. So there you have that answer.
Okay.
And that's just going straight from Google.
And just so you know, Kevin, too, again, I posted a lot of that information down below as far as like where you can watch. You'll see down there that some of that's cut and paste from NASA's just information, so I didn't want to say anything from their information, but all of their information feeds, Twitter and their own websites and YouTube, the multiple YouTube sites for NASA, they're all going to cover it. So you can pick up whichever one you want. The main NASA channel will have like NASA TV where people talk about stuff and they like have highlights of things that are happening. There's another channel from JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, that's like straight. Nobody's talking over it. It's just straight video feeds and audio feeds from control room. That might be interesting. So it's gonna be cool.
We might have to bring we have a friend that owns some of the airplanes that we flew, and he actually works for JPL, and he actually designed the batteries that are going to be on the Rover.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's one of the people we might actually try to think about maybe taking and having a conversation with on the show as well,
cool.
because it might be worth it to have that. And then number two, what? I know I'm seeing people are ordering stuff for McDonald's and Alien Time, and now it made me forget what I wanted. Oh, by the way, we actually watched this launch. This launch was, what was it, almost 2 years ago when this thing launched? A year and a half ago? I remember
6 months ago. Didn't it go up 6 months ago?
Was it 6 months ago? I remember watching it because it was the return of. Which one was it?
Which?
Because it was on the Delta, right? It was on the Atlas or the Delta? I think it was the Atlas. Or was it the Delta 4 Heavy that went up?
It launched July 30th, 2020.
So it was on the...
Took off on an Atlas.
Atlas. It was the Atlas.
541, yeah.
541. So it was the
Atlas.
Atlas.
An Atlas 5. And I think I did watch it, though. Again, as we mentioned before, we watched a lot of the launches, so I think probably watched this one as well.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure...
Marzian pesos.
Is
that the currency there?
Maybe.
Could be.
Who knows? Hey, and remember, folks, if you get a chance, like, subscribe, and follow us here on YouTube, because we want to continue to bring you more space exploration, more air taxi, more cars, more launches, more everything. This should be cool, though. Yeah, we're excited to keep doing this with you. And again, we were overwhelmed with the response that we got over this past weekend. Really, really energized us and let us know that we were doing something right, and hopefully going to be able to bring you more unique experiences just like that. And with that said, I think
Mars isn't red.
Huh?
Mars isn't red.
Why? Who said Mars is red?
Fake news.
Who's talking fake news about? Oh, they're talking about it in chat. Oh, okay. I'm like, what is going on? I don't know.
Yeah.
How was I supposed to know? So with that said, I guess there's something else that we kind of have to touch on, because it's a
soundstage.
What? Who's a soundstage? Mars?
Mars.
What? You guys are confusing me. You're chatting about things. I don't know. Whatever you're doing. Let me just check something out here, because unlike before, I had an article that I just clicked on, and unfortunately, I got rid of it, which was the energy one from Houston.
Oh,
cold weather. There we go.
It's
that's
Fox.
the bottom.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, open link. There we are. Okay, so
are we talking about that now?
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and then we can talk about other stuff at the end, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, because I want to get through this one, because this is important, because it is one of the other issues that is definitely impacting us. And oh wow, that's I'm in the wrong spot. So here we go. This one is about why Texas power grid is struggling to cope with the extreme cold, and this was by Vox. And this is very interesting. If you haven't been paying attention right now, most of Texas is undergoing rolling blackouts to deal with the extreme cold and winter temperatures.
Snow,
Yeah,
ice,
snow, ice, everything else you can imagine
Texas.
in Texas and as far south as Houston. Okay. And basically, what I was equally curious in trying to figure out what in the world has happened in Texas that would cause this to be a primary source of, I would say, I'd be upset if I lived there and suddenly didn't have the power when I necessarily needed it during the winter. However, there is a rational explanation, as this article goes into. And it basically says that Texas decided long ago that they were going to isolate and insulate their own infrastructure for electricity and basically go it alone. So they weren't drawing outside power from other states or other regions throughout the country. As well as doing such, they'd mix their internal power sources between solar, gas, coal, and other mixtures of wind power and so on and so forth. Matter of fact, there's some massive wind farms just outside of Lubbock that I've flown over many, many times. And the difference being is that the ice and cold also besieged part of their network in order to produce fuel and actually transport oil for heating, some of the propane, some of the lines that were actually used along this process all froze. So at the very time that they needed all this necessary heat and gas for heat and so on and so forth, it wasn't there. It wasn't even there to supply the necessary electric for the generators. Yeah, he wants out because somebody else gets gone. And basically, so the issue there is that they're stuck. They don't have as much power as they need. And now the people in Texas have been having to deal with these rolling blackouts and these extreme cold temperatures. And our heart really goes out to you. But the other part of it, it becomes as renewable energies find their way into our daily lives, they are also susceptible to things that people sometimes don't realize, that cloudy days obviously don't produce as much solar energy. Snow on solar panels doesn't exactly help the solar production. Low-level winds and, winter conditions don't necessarily bring you the best, I would say, power generation, and also the lack of transportability. It takes a lot of energy to take some of these fuel and oil pipelines and kind of shoot them down the line and keep them clean for especially winter conditions. So with that, it's kind of time to kick off the discussion of, are we in trouble when we're trying to look for renewable energy sources that can't necessarily deliver when things get bad in the winter environment? It's not conducive towards renewable energies.
I think they just got to plan extreme.
Well, obviously, but how come nobody saw this one coming? That's what I want to know. It's kind of like one of those things where you try to figure out ahead of time if, you would think that in a warm weather state, because Texas is a fairly warm weather state. Half of it's got a Florida-like, climate. And then the other half is like Lubbock. You get the colder sections as well. But I'm kind of sitting here scratching my head going, how did nobody really kind of figure this out? Because they even went into this article and said, when there was an opportunity to store up some energy when it's normally in the summertime, they don't have the opportunity because there's such a massive draw due to everybody needing air conditioning and, in order to keep the temperatures down for when people need it. And they just really didn't have any idea that there was going to be such a massive draw with temperatures are going to stay frigid for over 3 to 4 days with snow and ice. So much for that. And if you're in Texas and if you guys got any other further information, let us know what you know about that whole thing, because right now they've even in some places they've deployed the National Guard. So, and they have 135 warming centers now that have opened up to give people just a break from the temperatures, on top of the fact that there's still COVID.
Yeah.
So what would you think? What's that?
Not good.
Not good. That's what you got?
I think it wasn't their systems were not designed for those temperatures.
True.
I mean, let's be honest. There's natural gas, there's wind power out west and up north. So this is a Texas problem.
So yeah, and even in the article,
it's a preparation problem, not a. Well, it's a technology problem, but not a implementation problem.
Yeah, so they even said here that what was really interesting is that wind turbines actually iced up, which, if you know anything about aviation and wings and so on and so forth, once you get ice on a lifting surface, it loses all of its ability to produce lift, and it only takes a very small trace of amount of ice. And when that happens, all of a sudden, these things that are really focusing on Bernoulli's principle in order to spin these massive blades are not nearly as efficient at the tips of the blades to put in that energy to turn massive wind turbines. Coal piles froze. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, Now, I mean,
the ground's frozen, so
of course. But
I don't know why that's.
Well, here's the thing: you can't necessarily go over to a pile of coal with a torch or a warming blanket and just throw it over a pile of coal and expect that to really work.
Warm up your coal pile with some fire,
right? Okay, so and then the natural gas was another thing that they did not anticipate. That natural gas lines were actually frozen.
What's the temperature in Poland?
I don't know. What's the temperature in Poland?
Oh, I'm asking chat.
Oh, Poland is better than? Wow, they've got a Poland versus South Africa chat war going on. All right, you guys stay with that. You do what you need to do. You take care of you. Okay. So we're hoping that we see the best for Texas, because the other part of it is, where is the main focus of NASA in their controllability centers? Houston. So I'm kind of thinking.
I highly doubt they have battery backups.
I'm sure they have battery backups, but I'm hoping that there's no miscommunications or no power shortages or anything else like that are in that area that would end up affecting the landing of the Mars rover. So there's that then.
Yep, we'd hope. This stuff happens around the world too, so we understand that. So we would hope that everybody stays warm.
For sure. Excellent. So the next discussion, I guess, would have to be is, when do we get to the next launch, right? And what other activities do we take the channel to?
Like just right now.
Mm-hmm.
What are the launches? I know you looked at it before, but let's just look.
Yep.
Because you guys know there was. I know Mike. I think Mike already mentioned it, but there was a Starlink launch set for this morning at this morning, right? Yeah, this morning at 12:55 a.m. Eastern time. That got moved. I don't know. Did they reschedule it yet?
No.
Okay, so
which one are you on? Are you on space flight now?
So this is
which one?
I'm at space launch now.
Space launch or
same place?
Same place. Okay.
Yeah, and you can see there. I think on the page.
Yep.
That the Falcon 9, mission 17 is it kind of hard to determine that, but it's 17. Mission 17 is just TBD. So there is no launch time for that. I don't know. We'll keep that in track.
So yeah, because initially one of the apps that we follow. So hey, here's a great app. If you guys don't,
if you guys are interested in space, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. So there's Space Launch Now has a fantastic app, and we use it pretty much exclusively here on the channel.
Pretty great, because you can set up the filters you guys want to use.
Yeah.
If you're interested in launches in just the space coast of Florida and the U.S., you can set up launches if you want. If you want to keep track of launches in China or in Russia or any other particular launch area, you can do that. You can set it up so it'll give you alerts to when there's changes of missions, like it'll pop as a notification, or it'll tell you. I have mine set up so that there's a hour ahead alert,
I got a notification,
and then a 10-minute notification.
I got a 24-hour, an hour, and a 10-minute.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty useful. And the nice part, really, why I found it and I keep using it, is it's updated near instantaneous.
Yes.
It's pretty nice. I mean, near instantaneous when missions change or launch times change, whether they're at a hold or they're scrubbed or they're just changed completely. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like maybe less than a minute delay, possibly, from a Twitter feed or a live SpaceX feed or a NASA feed. It's awesome.
So going according to the app, what the app had listed in here is that currently they have the Falcon 9 Block 5 Starlink 17 as listed as a no-go. They did have another tentative date as Sunday, February 21st at 12:12 a.m. And it was going to be landing on one of the drone ships, but now that hasn't gone green again. So this launch was originally supposed to take place on February 4th at 5:36 a.m. So the other consideration there that they might be going through is what the actual physical window is and the opportunity to get that established. So
trying to get back in?
I think he is. I got him. All right.
Roscoe, what's the deal, man? Back. He has returned.
See, we would take Roscoe to one of the launches with us, but that's not his deal. So yeah, so that's the next thing that we're tracking on our schedule of things to do. And the other one is,
I'll put a link to this app, or at least the webpage down below for you guys. Just
And then if nothing else, on Friday, definitely Friday, we'll have another show. We'll be live streaming again from 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock, hopefully a little earlier or later, just to make up for the fact that we're trying to get everything else accomplished. And still yet, unfortunately, the 2 nights that we're out there doing the live stream, I couldn't use the computer to do the editing on the the Rolex 24 video, which I still got to get that edit finished. So that's also coming in the not too distant future. Hopefully by this weekend. And if there's no other launches, then that would be an easy get that done. So I don't think we have anything else for you today.
Yeah, the main thing, like we said, is space news. So again, I'm just updating the links below, just adding.
What are you adding now?
The app we just talked about, the website.
Oh, okay. Oh, you could do that after. Yeah, you can do it later.
But yeah, again, the main thing, guys, right, is keeping track of the Perseverance rover for tomorrow. Gonna be cool.
You don't want to live stream it, do you? Do we have time? Maybe. What time is it supposed to be? 3:55.
Well, it's the actual landing is supposed to occur at 3:55 Eastern time. There'll be a delay until the controls JPL knows that it happened or not. They won't get any images then. They said the images will come through. I think they said about 2.5 hours later when when another satellite passes overhead and has a better data stream. So we'll just know if it landed successfully or not around 3:55 or a bit after that, of course. But there'll be no images then. So I don't know, man. I guess we'll have to talk about it.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. We'll see what we can do. If there's nothing to be seen, then there's no visual.
I don't think, there won't be anything to be seen.
Okay, fair enough. All right, folks. Well, with that said, it's about that time. We wish we had a little bit more content for you, but every time that we go out and do a live stream from someplace else, it gives us less time in the back end to kind of figure out what we got to come back in here into the studio to do. But we will have more progressive content for you coming up. That's going to be more space oriented because you guys apparently like that. But we're also going to be looking again into the secondary things with these air taxis and so on and so forth. So with that said, we will check you guys out on Friday, and we'll give you more updates on what's going on for Friday. We'll probably get some more lively discussion going. All right, everyone?
Sounds great.
So with that, take care, and we will see you all later. Peace.
Roscoe on the couch.
Later. Bye.
See you next time.